I am honored to be with you. A very happy World Play Day. Today just so happens to be that very day, and I'm honored to be here with all of you to engage in some hands-on thinking using purposeful play, specifically with Lego series play methods, and a little bit of visual thinking with some digital tools, specifically a digital tool that I like to use called Mural digital whiteboards. Some of you might have heard of Mural or maybe Miro or a few others. They're all wonderful tools, and I am going to actually be facilitating this session using Mural and, of course, using Lego. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you are seeing is our entire play date together today. It probably looks like a bit of extra information. It'll all make a little bit more sense in just a moment. And like I said, what you are seeing is a mural digital whiteboard that I like to present on. And I also want to say that so much of what powerful coaching and creating thinking environments with others is allowing, and I hope you agree, is to have this ability to view the whole landscape. We call it that 30,000-foot view, or that broad perspective from up on top of the hill, or as if you were a bird flying over and noticing what you are seeing. So that's what we're doing right now. And then also what we do as thinking facilitators is to take our thinkers from that very broad view and have them zoom all the way into that ground floor. And so welcome everybody again to Building Artifacts, Hands-on Thinking with Lego Series Play Methods. Let's get started. The first thing I want to do is pull back a little bit and take us to our first activity. Our first activity is actually going to be a bit of a pre-flexion. And if that word sounds a bit weird to you, a pre-flexion is we're just thinking about what we're gonna anticipate and bring into these next few minutes together. And so this question is for everybody. And what I really wanted to do is start this off and allow those of you who did not happen to bring your own Lego into the space now, because those of you who did, you're going to have opportunities to play with hands-on visual thinking a bit more than those of you who don't. And so this question is for everybody. I would love one or two of our thinkers here that do not have Lego to engage in this activity. And so what I want you to do is think, but think with your eyes, not just with your head. I want you to choose one or maybe two Lego that represents some thoughts and feelings around this prompt. What do I anticipate to learn or uncover in today's dialogue? I want you to think in metaphor and think in story. When you are thinking about what you might be learning today in this metaphorical or storytelling way, I want you to look at these different Lego that you see here and notice the size, the shape, the color, how it might feel to hold in your hand, and select one or maybe two that you'd like to bring on and bring into this square. Would anybody like to, anybody brave? Ale, am I pronouncing that right? Ale, feel free to come off mute and help me put these Lego
Yes.
bricks together. Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
The first one is the wheel on the right. No,
Okay.
yes, that one. The second one is the ladder, kind of.
Okay.
And the third one is the window.
Okay. Real quick, how are they positioned? Would you like for me to place them in a different arrangement? If that,
No, this is good.
okay, so
The way they are, it's good.
wonderful. Take 30, 45 seconds. Tell us what do you anticipate to learn today? And
Okay.
use these Lego to explain. Go for it.
Okay. So first is the will. I want to move forward in my practice. I want it to be one step higher, hence
Okay.
the ladder. And I believe in the power of play as a window opener to a new world of possibilities, of joy, of exploration, discovery, and so on. So that's basically the combination of the three of them.
And when connected, I'm putting you on the spot. When connected, what happens? What happens to you when you connect these three?
Okay, that's interesting. So the image I envision is the window on the top. Yeah, exactly like that. So
Okay.
imagine I'm inviting everyone aboard. So step
Uh,
up, come aboard. Let's move forward together. There's a huge window of opportunity here. We have this 2-hour window together. Let's learn. So that's how I put all the three elements
I
together.
thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Let's give a quiet hand to our first player, Ale. Eleanor, briefly, yeah. What are you noticing? What would you like to bring?
Hi. I wanted to grab the sort of, near where you are, the little kind of black tunnel there.
Sure. Yeah.
And
It resonates with me too, Charlie. Keep going. Yeah.
and then the little green thing that I was imagining it turning. It's like the top. Yeah, you would know you were on it there. Yeah, maybe it's a flower, but I'm seeing it like the top of a helicopter, something
It
spinning.
is whatever you want it to be. Exactly.
And maybe we need a third one. Yeah, the black one that you're sitting on just there. I like that. That's very structured.
Okay. So yeah, how if this square was your system, where do how do I place this?
I guess the helicopter needs to be on top if you want it to be able to
Sure.
turn. And yeah, I'm going to put the tunnel underneath. I think I need to crawl through that tunnel in order to get to the structured area.
I like it.
Like, I
Okay.
might even put it vertically. If you can turn it, you can't really
I
do that, but
can.
there we go. Climbing up in
Okay.
the tunnel in the dark to get to the structure.
So wonderful. Take 30 seconds. What are you've already started speaking metaphorically. So yeah, what are you anticipating to learn or uncover using these images?
Yeah, I bought a book on serious play this summer, so I'm really excited
Wonderful.
about seeing a real person actually explain it. So it feels like going through the tunnel and actually maybe meeting someone in the tunnel that might lead me out the other side to an area which is much more structured, clarity, and then the spinning, woo, things really movement happening. I find it quite difficult to do it just from the book, of course.
Okay.
So bringing life and movement.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Eleanor. Thank you so much. So friends, for those of you who didn't get to share whether you have Lego or not, you will be able to bring yourself into the space. A big thank you to our two first purposeful players. So we're gonna move on, and so Eleanor has a book on this. Many of you, I presume, do not, and so I want to briefly explain a bit about what is and isn't Lego Serious Play Methods. So first and foremost, Lego Serious Play Methods was created by the great people at Lego in the mid 90s. And in 2010, it had become such a wonderful tool that they were using in-house, and they began to start training other people how to do it. It was getting so big, they said, well, you know what, we are a toy company, not a learning and development organization. And they made it open source, which is a wonderful gift that they gave to the world. From that, many people like me trained and certified to use this technique. Really, more so, it began as an OD tool, a very one-to-many organizational team type of tool. And I love that. I love facilitating in that way. And of course, in March of 2020, as I jokingly say, nobody wanted to play with my toys anymore. And so I started thinking about different ways to engage with this methodology. I'd already started to use it individually with my coaching clients, and then subsequently more so with my supervision clients. I really just loved how intimate I could be, and also how we could iterate and use this tool as a way to create a shared language between us very quickly. And so Lego Serious Play Methods, it's a technology that combines this multimodal way of engaging the world. We know now that we are not just visual learners or not just auditory learners. When we engage the world in as many different modes as possible, we are using so much more of our thinking and being space within us, our brains, because we're tapping into so many different parts of who we are. And so when we combine these, it really allows us to create this powerful approach. And so it is a bit different than how you might have played with Lego when you were a little kid. Let me give you a brief journey on that. So this spectrum that you see at the bottom, building a car without instructions for pleasure. That's what I did when I was very young, and I presume what many of you have done when you were young, or maybe even recently. And so this is a car that is definitely not road safe, but it is fun to look at and really easy to put together. It's a great little car that kind of mimics how we played with Lego. At least I did when I was quite young. And then more recently, if we move on the spectrum away from Lego Serious Play, more recently, Lego has really gotten into creating these wonderful instruction-led builds where you have to follow a step-by-step. It is out of your control. It is what Lego has created, but you can create these very amazing looking Lego artifacts, this amazing looking car that might not be road safe, but it definitely looks like it might be much more so than this middle one. But really, what is Lego Serious Play? Lego Serious Play is the opposite end of that spectrum. It is without instruction, or maybe the instructions that reside within you. And so what are we talking about with these cars? We're talking about movement. And that's what we talk about so much in our work with thinkers, is moving from here to there. And so I'm just thinking about the idea of movement. And when I think about the idea of movement, I just want to put together two bricks and say, you know what? These two bricks together, they signify movement to me. And they do so because, well, I like the slopes. That kind of reminds me of movement. The gray reminds me of the surface of the road. And so I put these two bricks together. They mean movement to me, and I get to own the meaning. And so Lego Serious Play is really about the builder, the thinker, owning the meaning of what it is that they are creating and making this tangible reference, this actual object that they can hold in their hand or place on the table and talk about it. And of course, something simple like movement, that's might be easy to talk about, but it may be a bit more challenging to build an emotion that is surfacing for us, or maybe some nebulous thoughts that we might not be so clear about and concerned to share out loud. But if we use our hands to build maybe that feeling and hold it in our hand, a couple things happen. One, we can talk about it. It's tangible. Our coach or supervisor can see it and ask questions of it. And also an amazing thing happens because we're not so associated into the feelings, because we've now externalized that feeling and we're talking about it as it exists outside of ourselves. We can actually potentially go a bit deeper into that feeling space, because it might not be so raw to share it, because it's already out there outside of us. That's we call that externalization in some of the narrative work. And so let's get down into some play. So Nicola has a specific kit. I presume nobody else here has a specific kit, but if you do have some Lego, go ahead and get that, bring that handy. What you do see before you is a specific kit that's created by the people at Lego. It's called a window exploration bag, and it's created specifically for this type of work. It has some specific parts that allow us to really delve into this hands-on thinking. And as I like to say, I like to think as these bricks as data. Every brick might tell a story to us when when our clients imbue meaning to it. And so let's get started. Nicola, are you ready to begin this work?
Yes, I am, Paul. You move your
Wonderful.
and see. Right. Okay.
Okay. So for the rest of you, please follow along. But specifically for Nicola, I'm just going to start. So for Nicola, I want you to find that base plate. This is that black flat object here. And let me just tell you, this is what I might do for every single, whether it's an individual coaching client or if it's a team or group, needing to get into this notion of thinking with our hands. We call this skill building, learning the bricks, getting acclimated to this different way of communicating. We don't just dive in, right? We don't with somebody learning a language, we don't just launch in with a sentence. We tell them one word at a time. And this is what we're doing here. And so if you don't have a base plate, no worries. Nicola, what I would love for you to do now is put yourself together. And when I say that, I mean put together your minifigure. And it may or may not look like this. If those of you with Lego happen to have a minifigure, great. If you have more than one, choose one and signify that as this one is me. Nicola, I know you have yourself there. A couple other things I just want to share with you. There's some other bricks. Actually, Ali helped us out already here. He called this one a certain one. It sits right there. And there's some other bricks that look a bit more terrestrial or ones you might find in the field. And then there's some other bricks that you can do that with, or maybe you can even put that in your hand and call it whatever you want. Finally, there's a few bricks like this here, this one and this one that have some interesting knobs, and you can place that right on top and it spins. And so this is for you and for anybody that happens to have Lego. For the rest of you, we're going to continue on and have a verbal conversation. But for those of you with Lego, let's get down to some serious play. Your prompt, and you have 3 minutes to build. You can build anything you want in any way that you want. Lego serious play, there are no rules. As long as you can build it in your mind and with your hands, you control the object. So the prompt is build a tower. Okay, so I'm putting 3 minutes on the clock here, starting the timer. And for the rest of you, we're gonna keep talk about a little bit of the background of what Lego serious play is. So it is evidence-based. There is quite a bit of theory that was developed that the people at Lego used. They are scientists. They love to play. They love art. They love engaging the world with their Lego bricks. But they are also, at least the people that created this, scientists. And so they used some of the foundations of learning theory to develop this tool. So starting specifically with Jean Piaget's constructivist learning theory. We may know Piaget's development theory. It's either whether we took Psychology 101 or anything. This is the same Piaget. He also used another theory called constructivist, which basically says that learning is not this transmission of knowledge where I am the teacher and I'm giving you my knowledge. No, learning is about fusing and reconstructing our experiences with what the teacher may be sharing with us. And so this was a new way of thinking to us. It's like, yeah, of course, right? One of Piaget's mentees was a gentleman named Seymour Papert. And he's built on this, pun intended. And he said, well, you know what? There's another way of learning, and that is with objects. And he called this constructionism. I know, similar word. But he said that when we manipulate materials and construct a physical, tangible object, we can also understand our world, understand the mental models that may be happening around us, and we can better understand the world around us. And so these two theories really did form the foundation of what this work happens to be. And from this, we can create these amazing artifacts. And so for the group that is building, Nicola and anybody else, if you happen to have a minifigure or you built one and you'd like to add it to your tower, go ahead and do so now. For the rest of the group, I just want to take about 35, 40 seconds to share a little bit about this idea of an artifact. This is my word, and I play with it and I capitalize the ART, but I want you to think of that archaeologist that looks across the barren land and sees just wide open space, but they know that just below the surface lies shards of pottery or seeds. And when they put those together, it might tell a story about a culture, about a people, about everyday life. Okay, friends, if you are building, take just another couple seconds to add a few bricks together. And so these artifacts, when combined, tell a story. And when they do that, we can learn about a culture, about a people. Well, in the same way, we're building and creating objects and artifacts that explain about our culture, our thinking systems, our beliefs, our values. And finally, why hands-on thinking? I happen to be such a big fan of this notion of hands-on thinking. Our hands, they are often the first point of contact with our environment. This very interesting, funky looking character that you see on the upper left, cortical homunculus, little man in Latin. For the purposes of today, we call him little person. And this is the size of the different body parts of this little person have a direct correlation to the size and proportion of the space of the brain that is being used. This is the somatosensory representation. And when I say somatosensory, this is the sense-making part of our brains. Notice the size of cortical homunculus's hands. They are huge. And so what I like to tell people is when we're engaging our clients full self, and we know that when we're working with people and we can bring them out of their heads and bring them into their sense-making felt sense, so much more can happen. But it's a struggle for some people. It's not so much of a struggle when you give them some toys and you say, hey, build what's on your mind. And suddenly they're embodied, they're in the present moment. They may be in their heads, quote unquote, but they're also in their bodies because they're using their hands to think. And so with that, let's take a moment and look at some of our towers. If you happen to have built, go ahead and hold up your tower and hold it and close to the camera. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's a lot of people who brought Lego today. I am very excited. I see some wonderful towers. Okay. So feel free to put that down. Go ahead and Nicola, you can set yours down if you'd like. I may ask you to bring it up. I'm going to have a brief conversation with Nicola, but I would love everybody else with Lego to respond in chat, yes or no, very briefly with some thoughts to some of these questions. So Nicola, I'm going to ask you just a few questions. I'm a little bit behind, sir, so I'm going to move rather quickly.
Okay.
So when I knew your bag was already open. Normally the bag is sealed, right? And I say, open up your bag. When you did empty the bag or you did have it placed out, did you start sorting the bricks at all?
No,
Color?
I didn't.
No. Okay.
No, just a pile.
Okay, just a pile. Sounds good. And when I asked you to build, did you pause for a moment and start building it in your mind? Or did you just dive right in and start building?
I just dived right in, dove right
Okay.
in, jumped
Yeah,
right
I
in.
love it. I see pause, I see dove right in. This is how it works. No doubt, right, some in the middle, right? So for those of you who just dive right in, and for the rest of the group, feel free to respond. Oops. Did you take it as did you say, you know what? Paul said build a tower. I'm gonna build it as high as I can.
No, it's just a little one.
Okay. And did you try to keep it symmetrical or follow a pattern? These bags often have double bricks, and so I'm seeing symmetrical, I'm seeing yes, I'm seeing no. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna move a
mine's
little quickly.
symmetrical.
Okay. Uh, did you pause when you can no longer keep it just right or keep it symmetrical? Or did you act a bit more like many of us do when I facilitate these with coaches, accept the imperfection and just keep going?
I fiddled with it a little bit, but not
Okay.
too much. I changed the
Okay.
colours around a bit.
Okay. Did you or anybody else make it a game to use all the bricks that you had in the time allotted? Or for those of you who had hundreds of bricks, say, I'm going to build it as high as I can and use as many bricks as I can?
No, just a little.
No. Okay. So you used only what was needed or necessary. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you or anybody else feel the need to follow the rules and make it towerish?
I made it towerish, but it was mostly because I wanted this yellow bit to be a bit higher, and the tower was the way of getting up to that point, rather than thinking a tower would have
Oh, says Helena. Okay, sorry. I'm
oh, that
listening.
one.
I apologize for cutting you off.
That's okay.
Okay. Finally, when I said you can add yourself, the minifigure too, did a story come about when you placed it?
Yeah, I felt I was looking out to sea.
Yeah. And can you just take a minute and just share the story of you on this tower?
Yeah, this tower, I started off with this yellow bit at the top because I quite liked it, and it looked a bit like a beacon. And I found this mast here, and I thought that looks like a mast. And I'd like to put that out together, and it looks a bit like a lighthouse to me. And I put myself, I'm actually off a bit of an angle there, rather than in front of it or next to it. So I'm kind of looking out, and my beacon tower is behind me. And I could have made this a bit longer, but I liked it that kind of length. Yeah, and now it looks, I look maybe like I'm on a raft or something, or I'm yeah, just looking out, observing, having a look.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Nicola. And this is the final question for you and for everybody else that builds. This is quite anecdotal, but I've done this hundreds and maybe even 1,000 times with people, and I've refined the questions further and further. And what I find, especially when I'm able to have one-on-one conversations with people and walk them through this, is that oftentimes how they construct this is a lot like how they construct their world, or maybe even how they may construct their coaching engagement with me, or how they construct their goals. And so I'm curious, as you look at your tower, and for the rest of you, feel free to share in chat. How's it, you didn't sort, you just allowed them to just be. You kind of dove right in, right? You used only what was necessary. There a story appeared, so many other things. So I'm curious, and please be honest. How much does this tower kind of represent how Nicola oftentimes shows up in the world?
It's funny because normally I'm not very symmetrical. I normally don't take care to match things up. I like things not matching. And I'm looking at this, I'm kind of surprised that it's got this quite a solid foundation and it's symmetrical, because that's not what I would normally do. So that's interesting. But then there's something about Lego that wants you to make it
True.
symmetrical, because you know, the dots on it, the bumps on it they've got even numbers on them, apart from this one, it's got an odd one.
Yeah.
And,
Well, so even in this, right? We're having a conversation just about how you construct your world, whether it matched really well or it kind of matched in some ways and it didn't. And so as I jokingly like to say, when is the best time to give somebody an assessment? That's when they don't know they're being assessed, right, friends? We know when we give that assessment to somebody, they put on their "I'm taking an assessment" hat on, and you get the answers they think you want to have. We know that they try to rule this out, especially with these very large and powerful data sets that they use with these assessments. And what a wonderful way to connect, pun intended, with our clients and get to know them and get to know how they may construct our time together. And it's a powerful way to just have a wonderful initial conversation. Of course, I might also use a psychometric test. Some of these align really well with some assessments that I also use. So thank you, Nicola. Thank you to those of you who have engaged so far. For the sake of time, I'm going to move ahead. So Nicola, what I want you to do now is go ahead and to the rest of you and Nicola, Nicola is going to build what is on their mind right now. So in about 5 minutes, we are going to begin a coaching conversation. And so I asked Nicola beforehand, and I gave him a prompt. So go ahead and take 5 minutes, and I will let you know when we're getting near that. And I want you to build what is on your mind. In a coaching session, we know that when our clients reflect, maybe write a few thoughts down, or even just sit outside or next to the window and think about what they want to get out of their coaching or supervision or whatever session it may be, that they oftentimes come in more prepared to know what they might want to get out of the session as well. And so in this case, I ask my clients to actually build and construct an artifact of what's on their mind and what they might be bringing in to that session. Now, is it always exactly what we talk about? Of course not, because this is coaching and we show up and then we dance, right? And in just a few moments, you're going to see a coaching demonstration between me and Nicola that will maybe allow you to see how coaching can be in a slightly different way using hands-on visual thinking. And so while Nicola is spending another 3 or so minutes building, I'm gonna share my screen again and walk you through just a bit more of the background behind this way of working. And so a few different theories in play here. One, this notion of dual coding theory. And whether or not you've heard this theory before or not, it will make very easy sense for you, right? When I ask you to think of a dog, in your mind, you may picture your pet or a dog you saw in the greens or just some sort of wonderful dog that you love to think about. But when I ask you to tell me about a dog, you tell me in words. So we think in pictures, but we communicate in words. And all dual coding theory explains is that when we are combining this way of thinking and communicating, both visually and verbally, we are thinking more holistically with our brain, and also we are much more connected to what we are talking about. And so by building this, not in this case being a dog, but by building this idea, this notion of what is on our mind, then we can actually see it and talk about it using both visual and verbal way of communicating. Finally, and Nicola, you have about 2 minutes remaining. I don't want to, will make a lot more sense in a moment. I don't want to overload your cognitive abilities here. but I do want to share very briefly a bit about cognitive load theory. Cognitive load theory is an education theory. Essentially, very high level means that we only can have so many nodes of information in our head at any given time. You can think about it in terms of this bookshelf, right? If we add one book to the bookshelf, and I want to give my respects to a colleague of mine, Liam, for creating this image of cognitive load theory. We only have so much information that we can keep in our brains at a given time. The complexity of the information, the way we can link it to information that we already know, right? And also the distractions that come about by learning. Maybe this distraction of still having this moving GIF that I'm going to make a little smaller so that you can focus on what we're talking about a little bit better. Well, when we are able to offload thoughts and ideas and feelings into a brick, when we're able to imbue that and place that thought into a brick and even set it aside, we are able to have much more capacity in our cognitive load. And so if you think about a client that comes in with 7 different ideas that they want to talk about, and as a coach, we're struggling to maintain where the direction is of the session. Well, if they built all of those things, we can say, well, which one of these is most relevant to you? Can we set some of the other to the side and focus on this one that is most relevant for you? And the thing that happens is, it happens in all coaching conversations, is we end up doing that. But what happens when we are building in this way is that those other thoughts don't fade away. They're just off to the side. And when they're off to the side, we can grab them again. And when we've imbued the thought or idea with them, we remember them much better, because we are meaning-making creatures. And when we can imbue a feeling or a thought in an object, it becomes tangible, and we're better able to concretize that memory. And so this theory allows us to hold on more nodes of information for both our thinker and for us as the coach. And so let's take just one more moment to share about how powerful this is. And Nicola, I'm gonna bring you in just about 1 minute. So if you are ready, that will be wonderful. Creating these reflective thinking spaces, it allows people to slow down, think more than just with their heads, better communicate and make tangible these thoughts and ideas. So when the builder can construct and create these ideas, they can talk about them and also talk about how they might change, because that's the work that we do, right? This artifact that Nicola is coming in with, it might not end looking like how it started. Just like our clients' thoughts and feelings and goals and ideas aren't going to look the same way at the end of our conversation as they did at the beginning. Well, hopefully not. So I have a little bit more about this process and this theory that I have called liminal spaces coaching with Lego series play that I may share at the end. More than anything, you're going to see it in action now. So Nicola, you and I are going to have a coaching session. We're going to spend 20-25 minutes. We're going to move relatively quickly. I apologize to the coaching gods if our contracting and our creating a safe space may work a bit quickly, but for the sake of time, I want everybody to see this process as best as possible and get a chance to talk about it with their fellow thinkers in a breakout room afterwards. So what I would love to do is have the rest of you turn off your cameras for now. So it's just Nicola and I thank you for doing that. We're going to spend about 20 minutes just having a conversation. I asked you to reflect and think about something that was on your mind. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn the camera down and talk about it. Do you happen to have a pen or something to use to to tap and talk about. I want you to use that pen, or you can use your finger and tap and talk about your artifact as you explain it. And so remember, this is your thoughts and feelings. You can change them at any given time. You can add bricks, you can remove bricks, you can pause to spend some time rebuilding it completely. Let me know if you'd like to do that. What you can't do is change the meaning of a brick. So if you gave one brick a certain meaning, it's got to keep that meaning for the rest of our conversation. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. So if you can, go ahead and turn your camera down and tell us what's on your mind.
Right. Okay. Let me get this ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So here's my. I'll move that in a little bit so you can see the top of it then.
Wonderful. Yeah, we can see that.
So here's my model, and this is me just here. This is the stuff that I have at the moment. It's predominantly work stuff. So I work for myself. I'm I like to think I'm good at what I do. I've got a lot of stuff on, a lot of stuff to juggle. I'm at the stage in my business now where I either need to scale up or scale back. So I either need to, I've got slightly too more than I can handle, which means I turn down quite a lot of stuff. But I don't really want to, because all exciting things that I want to do. And in my I suppose if I look at what I've been doing during the course of a day, there's probably some stuff which I don't necessarily need to do, or I could delegate, but I haven't got anybody to delegate it to. So I'm at the stage where I'm either scaling up or scaling back or staying where I am. So this pile here, which is a bit of a haphazard pile, really, represents all the stuff that I've got. And it's in no particular order. And you can see there's some big things on top of small things and some brightly coloured bits. There's a bit of a whizzle around here as well, which is signifies to me that things are changing all the time. And sometimes things are important. They're at the front, and sometimes they're at the back. So I quite like this Twizzler for that. And I put a flower on it just because it seemed right for it to go there. And then this is me here. This is my looking out of the world. I've got my eyes there to look out onto the world, and the ladder, which I feel like I'm on top of things. I feel I've climbed up this ladder and I'm on top of things. But I've also got this little beacon here, which is coming out of my head, thinking, I've got to, I can't keep doing what I'm doing because it's not good for my well-being. So I need to make a change, but I'm not really quite sure what change to make.
I need to make a change. And I'm not sure what change to make. When you look at this whole artifact, and feel free to turn it around and what do you notice?
I'm still smiling. I'm still a smiley person. I noticed that the pile of stuff is the same height as me.
What might that signify?
It might signify to me that the pile of stuff that I've got is right for me. It is just the right height. Any more, it would be too much. Any less, it wouldn't be enough. But again, it is easier to go outwards, isn't it, and keep the pile at the same height. I can build out the side here, but that's not really helping the situation. I quite like the pile in a way. It's quite it looks like it's going to topple over, but it's not. It's still standing. I can be quite rough with it and it's still standing.
And what does that mean for the conversation that we're going to have, that we're having right now?
It's making me wonder if the pile here is the right size, and I'm just feeling the effects of it getting to the maximum it should be, but I've managed to control up until now. It's also making me think, if it's that stable, I could add more things onto it, as long as I had more capacity to be able to sort it out. I think it's telling me, I don't know, I mean, as I look at it, it doesn't look that bad, to be honest. But certainly from where I'm standing, it feels like it's a really big pile. And I'm wondering about this bit here. I mean, I've climbed up this ladder to get here. And this bit here I'm seeing as, the experience and the training and the life lessons that I've learned in order to get to the top here.
Yeah.
It lets me cope with this.
Yeah.
But if that wasn't there, if I had to remove that and stand back down there, then I wouldn't be able to cope with that. I'm gonna put myself back up there.
Yeah. So we're moving quickly for the sake of time. And also I'm wondering, you started sharing about the structure, and it was a bit haphazard, but upon reflection again, it felt about the right height, I believe you said.
Yeah.
And so if you were leaving our time together and this looked even more, this artifact embodied and looked even more like how you really want it to be and look like, I'm curious, and this may be an opportunity to take a few moments to rebuild that. Would it be okay to, would this be an opportunity to rebuild it in a way that might serve you even more?
Yeah.
Okay. And for now, what is it that could be important to add or remove that would allow that?
I think this could be packed better. There's a lot of holes in there. It's not particularly stable. It is very haphazard. It's been piled on without, it feels piled on, but perhaps it needs to be arranged a bit better.
So if that was arranged a bit better,
yeah,
by the end of our time, what might that give you?
It would feel more manageable. It wouldn't address the situation of scaling up or scaling back, but both of those seem outcomes which neither seem particularly palatable, to be fair. But if I could cope with this a bit better, because the amount of work represents, from a fundamental point of view, it represents your income, doesn't it? It represents my income. I don't want to just get rid of some of it because, I like my income.
So you'd be able to cope better if it was, did you say organized a bit better? And
yeah, I'd like to reorganize it. Can I reorganize it?
Yeah, take 3 minutes. Just let me know. I'll give you a reminder. And if you don't mind, I'm actually going to continue having a little conversation with the rest of our colleagues here.
Yeah.
You need to mute to focus.
I don't even need that length of time, Paul.
Okay. Well, yeah, take a couple minutes. Take your time. Remember, you can add, you can remove anything you want. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So friends, I'm going to briefly just share, and Nicola will tell us a little bit more about where they are concluding. And so this notion of creating a liminal space, and this is where the name that I've given to this framework, I built upon top of what Lego Serious Play Methods is. Lego Serious Play Methods is the foundation, and I am playing with it with this framework. And also, I happen to believe that every great coaching session with a good contract and a good desired outcome, a liminal space is created. When we're talking just verbally, it happens verbally. But when we're communicating with bricks and words, we can actually see it. So a liminal space it's Latin, it means threshold. It's this place of entering, of unknowing, of dis-ease, if you will. And great coaches build that trust with the client to allow them to sit in that dis-ease of a space, and ask questions, and support our clients to move from that place of what is to what if. And then that liminal space is created, and we support them to move from what is to what if. And it just so happens that we are able to see it when we use this Lego brick. So this two builds and one base plate, this liminal space between what is and what if. So I asked Nicola to go ahead and bring what was on her mind, and she did that. And then I said, well, how would you know that you had it? And when we're able to create these two, it may not look like this, right? But when we're able to create these two poles, these two areas, these two objects, even if it doesn't exist visually, it exists in our client's mind's eye, and we can talk about it. And so very briefly, the work that I've built this on, it takes from the work of Gestalt theory and also Gestalt design theory, which is a very visual tool, a theory that was built off of Gestalt theory. And if you happen to do any work with systemic constellations, this very much sits in that realm, which you might see in just a moment. So if you can, go ahead and turn your camera down and tell us, what have you created?
Okay, I'm still the same. I haven't changed.
I haven't changed.
I'm still here. I've still got my beacon on my head, which seems important for it to be there somehow. And my experience is still here. This red is my experience now, and I've climbed up to where I need to be. And so now the pile of stuff, I haven't changed anything. I've just packed it differently. I know it's shorter than me, and it seems a bit more manageable. So if I think about this as my, just stuff I need to do, it's now shorter than me. I can keep my head above it. And if I think about, I know I had a quick reflect about my diary in just while you were talking about the liminal space. And I looked at it and I thought I could probably block my diary out differently, so I'm really quite clear about boundaries, about where things are. Sometimes things don't necessarily have a beginning or an end. They just are, and they end up to that quite disorganized tower. This seems okay. I've got an extra block there which doesn't fit in nicely, but it's not in the way. This still moves. I can still cope with the whatever happens, just a little bit. But and so I feel that I'm now feeling that because I don't need to scale up or scale back. I just need to think about what I'm currently doing and just pack it a bit better. And that wasn't something that had occurred to me at the start of the session. I just something needed to change, but I wasn't really quite sure what. I think until I saw this pile of stuff in a haphazard way, and I built it in a haphazard way because it felt haphazard. But if I look at that differently, then that feels a bit better. Feels quite neat as well, and I can still see. I can see over the top of it. You can see me over the top of it there.
What is important for Nicola about keeping her head above it?
Knowing that I can control it rather than it controlling me, or losing the ability to you know, be able to deliver for clients, or to be able to be present for my family, or to be able to maintain, you know, attention when I'm talking with my partner, that kind of thing. If I can keep this manageable, then it means that I'm present for the areas of my life which I tend to sideline, really, in order to administer all this. But this feels that like I can create boundaries here, and I can say, no, that's there, that's that, and then I can put my head in other places, like in my hobbies that I'd like to have, and my, you know, homework for the kids and things. So this feels, I don't know, this feels a lot better, actually. I quite like this. And I think that I could do it because you know, and you know, at the background here, I've got my calendar behind here, and I can see that there's you know, you know, flitting from one client to another client, and knowing that I've got ad hoc queries from another client, and so my work is primarily public relations and communications rather than primarily coaching, and so it's mostly communications clients that will have different needs that aren't necessarily schedulable.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens, but I need to create the capacity so that I can deal with those ad hoc requests, or indeed say, no, I can't because I'm full up.
So you mentioned the beacon at the top of your head, and
Yeah.
you didn't give too much meaning to it, but when you came back, you said it's still there and it needs to be there. So I'm wondering what is the meaning that you would like to give to it now that you are seeing it as it is currently created?
I think the beacon is it's visible from all angles. And I always want to, I don't want to lose myself or what makes me me. And I always want that, you know, what's the words? I don't want to lose me as part of everything else. I don't want to lose me as part of work or work pressures, or no, I just want to be seen as me rather than seen as I don't know, somebody who's maybe overloaded with work, or who can't cope, or who isn't delivering, or who isn't able to manage workload. I still want to I know I do silly things like, you know, dance in the kitchen with the kids, and sing loudly and badly on car journeys, and and I know that if this gets too much, then I lose the stuff that is that whimsical stuff that just brings joy in a weird way.
Interestingly, I was just about to ask you what might that, and I don't know if this is it or not, but what might that extra gray brick that didn't quite fit perfectly, what does that signify for you now?
This extra grey brick here is the piece of work which I've just slipped in because I think I can cope with it. And yep, I can cope with it. It's still there. It's stopping this from rotating, but it's still there, and it only grates a little bit. And I can it doesn't fit anywhere else in a neat way. I can pop it and tuck it out there. It'd be easier if it wasn't there, because that would go really nicely then. But it will go there. So for me, this is the extra straw on the camel's back. Perhaps we don't need to do that.
But
it fits there.
Yeah,
and
what
in a holding pattern, it will just go. But it's a lot easier if I don't have it there.
Right.
So why did I put it there? I put it there because, you know, everything still kind of worked, but it wasn't smooth anymore. Things get stuck on it. Without it, it works really well.
As we close here, what does that signify for you as you leave here today?
I'd like to lose this grey brick.
Okay.
It adds nothing. This is still as tall as it was. I'm still here. This grey brick I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to find this grey brick and say, no, this grey brick doesn't have a space for me. So it's saying no to something which I could do, but I don't need to do in order to keep that block.
And who is Nicola becoming when she's able to do that?
Everything moves a lot more freely. I don't have to worry about that bit because it's not in the way. So there's nothing there to worry about. It's gone. I've put it behind me. There we go.
Yeah, I was okay. And yeah. And as we close, I'm curious, you mentioned some things that you knew that you could do or be after you left here. If there was a brick or two that you might need to move into the space in order to allow that to come to fruition, I'm curious, and this may not be the case, but if there was a brick that might support you to really make this happen, and if you can, turn the camera down for the last few moments so that we could see. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
What brick could I add that would make it happen? This one.
Okay.
I think it needs a friend. Hang on.
Wherever.
It's this flag.
Yeah.
So it's the flag. Actually, I'll put it up near me because I can reach it a bit more easily. So this is the flag I need to wave when I'm saying no. It's a no flag. There we go. I'm holding it up high. That's it. Because if I wave that, then it's a signifies that I'm not accepting the grey brick anymore. This I can cope with, and that's okay, and it's manageable, and I can still do all the strange singing in the shower and everything. But this here is the flag that I will wave if it gets too much.
And so my last question, if you could look through the eyes of you, the minifigure, and just see, and if you need to, and you can turn the camera up now, and if you'd like to actually lift the artifact and look through the eyes of you, the minifigure. Yeah, what do you notice about what you have created for yourself, looking through your eyes?
I look really determined. Yeah, I'm holding this up. I'm going, yes, this is a non-negotiable. I can see above everything. There's nothing that's getting in my way of seeing clearly going forward. Yeah, I look quite I look determined. Still got me kicking.
Any final words to yourself to close this?
This has given me another option that I didn't realize that was open to me, which is just rationalize and just get rid of a little brick rather than make radical changes.
And if this artifact were to be placed somewhere in your world, home, somewhere else, to serve as a reminder of this journey that you are on and what you are wanting to accomplish, where might you place it?
Probably on my desk. I spend most of my time here, and then I'll be able to see it.
Yeah,
probably just over here next to my microphone.
And when you see it, what is a resonant statement that you'd like to hear when you see this artifact?
I think I'd like to say, I'd like to focus on the flag bit and say, have you waved your flag today? Or what are you going to wave your flag at today?
Okay.
What flags have you seen today? I think this flag is the thing which I'll notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nicola, I want to thank you for playing with me today.
It's been amazing. Thank you.
Okay. So everybody feel free to come back in about 2-3 minutes. We're going to send you off into some breakouts. We're about 5 or so minutes behind. So so Nicola, I know I'm having you switch gears very quickly here. Don't say no to this. You have to say yes to this right now. We're going to send you all into some breakouts to think about this way of engaging. What did you notice? What did you see that was different, that was the same? Of course, try to, when you do come back, try not to go too deeply into Nicola's mind, but really more about the process. And I do want to notice, I saw somebody share the word flow as we were in this session. And so there was one slide that I do want to share. Last week was Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi's, would have been his 89th birthday. Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi is the creator of this flow state model. And what is a flow state? We've all been in one before. A flow state is a place where time slows down, where everything feels intentional, where we are using our whole self. Something is not so challenging that it gives us too much anxiety, and it's not so we're not so great at it that we get bored. It's this space right in the middle, and we all love being in a flow state. And as soon as we realize we're in one, we're out of it and we want to get back in. And what I found over the course of my work with people is that an amazing way to get into a state of flow is to build with Lego. The challenge may be difficult, the question we're bringing in, but the way in which our clients are building is interesting. Their skill is not too low or too high, and when we're using our whole selves, we're able to engage and be with ourselves. And for those of you who are leaving right now, I'm grateful for all of you. And I'm happy to share more another time about this process. So some time for Q&A and also some visual takeaways. So as I talk and share, if you happen to have some Lego bricks and you'd like to take 2 or 3 together to build a takeaway to share out in just a moment, please feel free to do that. If you don't, this is one last opportunity for somebody that didn't happen to have Lego bricks to share a takeaway with some digital charms. Another way in which I engage visual thinking is with clients still using mural, but not with Lego, with these charms. So Teresa, is there 1 or 2 charms that you'd like to bring into this space that explains your takeaway for this time today?
Yes, I think the very first thing I focused on was the 3 circles down at the bottom.
Sure.
I'm not really quite sure why yet.
Do they have a color to them?
They're orange.
They're orange. I want to know more about that. And are they the right size? Should we make them bigger or smaller? And where should we put them in the square?
I think they could nearly almost fill a huge chunk of that space.
And
yeah.
Is there another charm to bring in? If not,
the eye, I think.
Eye.
The all-seeing eye.
And where are we placing that?
Just probably up in the corner, right or left, on the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a color to the eye?
The eye is blue.
Okay. So in 30-40 seconds, tell us what using these, what are you taking away from this experience?
Okay, I'm taking away a great conversation I had actually in the breakout room, first off, about different ways that as a facilitator, I suppose, with the different cultures, different what would you call it, kind of lead people, that or people that know more or know less or whatever, you know, I'm talking more about the build more so than you know, anything else. And it's just when I seen the circles, I just realized that like it's all very relevant, you know, it's all very entwined. The very middle of that circle is everybody together. So we're all in this together. It's all for, you know, the same, which to me is always fun. Like as in, I always, when I do kind of anything on Lego workshops, it's always, look, it's, you know, we're coming here to have fun.
Wonderful.
And
Thank
when
you so
if we get something out of it, that's a bonus. That's
Wonderful.
so I suppose, yeah, there's room for everybody. It was just more the facilitator role that I kind of had a bit of a thought on, that I suppose those ground rules or that contract beforehand, giving everybody the space. That's sorry, I could stay going on and on now, so
Yeah,
you'll have
thank
to
you
stop
so
me.
much.
The eye is
I
just
love
that
the energy.
all-seeing
I
eye.
want to give space, more space. So
Yeah,
questions, thoughts. Thank you so much, Teresa.
No worries.
And I'm sorry, if we have time to bring you in a moment, we will, but I'm conscious of the time. So questions, thoughts. I realize we are short on time, and I believe, Nicola, correct me if I'm wrong, but I will stay here in the room to answer other questions for those who want to stay, or of course go into network and connect with your colleagues. Ale, yes.
So my question is from the beginning of the demo that you mentioned that once the meaning of a brick was assigned, you couldn't change, and I'm curious why.
Well, you know, one, it's really to support the client to own their meaning, and also to support the process so that you know, if you assign meaning to an object, you're imbuing energy and thoughts and feelings to it. And so if it changes, we can ask how it changes. But if generally it's supportive of the process to allow for me and the client to see the same thing, if the bricks maintain the meaning. And there's always extra bricks to bring in. If it's a red brick that is a 2x2 brick and it keeps that meaning, but the meaning has changed, we just say, well, what might you add to that brick? Maybe it's a green single brick, and stick it to it. And how does the meaning change now, right? So it really is just it allows the coach in this case to really stay with the client's meaning making process.
Perfect.
Hopefully,
I have another quick question. I know that you can buy the Lego Serious Play sets sold at Amazon or many other retailers, but is this really necessary? Or if I have just random pieces, it would work as well?
Really great question. Really great question. So you can use random bricks, random pieces. What I encourage everybody is to, it's so important for the client to see themselves in their artifacts. And so the minifigure is really important, because, and even if they don't have a minifigure, to build one like I suggested, so that they can see themselves, right? And so lots of Lego kits don't come with minifigures. The Serious Play kits always do. And this last piece around this theory called the paradox of choice by a gentleman named Charles Schwartz. It basically says that if I were to give you 1,000 bricks and ask you to create what's on your mind, you're going to spend 45 minutes a day finding the perfect bricks to signify what's on your mind. If I just give you 50 bricks, you're going to let go of the perfection and own the meaning and just use what you need to build. And so oftentimes if you just say, just grab bricks, they bring too many on, and it's just almost like having too many ideas in the room, then you can't focus on what is relevant. But you can simply use any sort of Lego brick. The Serious Play bricks are really important. what I do want to share, I see somebody asked about how to get trained in this. I'm going to briefly share my screen one more time. I am just about to hit send, where I'm actually sharing this document with you, a PDF. In the bottom corner, you'll be able to see areas to connect with me or to learn more about training, specifically coaching with Lego Serious Play methods. I can also say that there are wonderful trainers in facilitation of this process. I just happen to focus on training coaches and supervisors in this methodology. Oh, we're over time. Nicola, you tell me what we're
yeah, let me interject. I mean, the good news is that Paul can stay for a bit for Q&A, which is amazing. But the bad news, we're at the end of the session, but we do have our networking time afterwards, and I'm super pleased that Paul can stay for that too. So I'm going to draw the official part of the session to an end with just a question for you, Paul, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder what, I mean, this is such, you know, I know firsthand what a great technique this is, but what do you yourself take away from, you know, from this session? You know, what is it? I mean, I'm guessing that you keep learning all the time. What is it that you're taking away yourself?
You know, really, just the interest in this. It's so lovely to see all these friendly faces. And so what tells that to me is just the need that all of us have, whether it's overt and in our face or just in our hearts and souls, that the importance of play, the importance of bringing, the world is quite heavy at the moment. And while we cannot change things out of our control, we can change our way of viewing what is in our control in front of our faces, and coming in with this playful way of being. I may be making some assumptions, but just seeing all these faces that are wanting to come and see and feel and know different ways of bringing more play into their very serious work, and being able to balance that serious with the play, which of course does lend itself to the methodology. And so that's what I'm taking away, and I'm just so grateful that people are taking the time to want to learn more about this process that I love so dearly.
Oh, Paul, thank you so much. It's been eye-opening. It really has been. Personally, it's been eye-opening, and you know, I've got a bonus strategy for myself going forward.
Yay!
Thank you.